pangalan po muna natin.
Magandang umaga. Ako si Chicky Escarialgo and I'm a member of the BCY Foundation promoting this event, which is really the search for Filipino hometown heroes.
Ma'am, Search Filipino Hometown Heroes. Ito ay kauna-una na po ba? Kayo na po
Yes,
ito mangyari?
yes. This is the first time that we're putting this together. This was actually led by BCY Foundation Chair Tony Yap, and he was inspired to recognize, no? Because I think that's the best way to do this. How do you create change? How do you inspire people? It's by creating and recognizing Filipino heroes. Now, here's the thing. Usually, ang napapansin natin, yung malalaking mga tao, yung mga maiingay, magaganda yung press release. Pero totoo namang magagaling. Pero kamusta naman yung mga hometown heroes na hindi natin nabibigyan pansin, pero mas mahalaga o mahalaga din ang ginagawa nila sa kanilang mga komunidad. No, so this is effort that will really go into the grassroots level, a lot of communities all over the Philippines, para lang mabigyan natin ng pansin at recognition ang mga heroes na ito. No, marami yan sa Pilipinas. Hindi lang natin nabibigyan pansin. So ngayon na yung pagkakataon.
Bakit kaya natin naisipan, bakit tayo gumawa ng isang foundation para bigyang credit itong mga natatanging heroes natin sa mga komunidad?
Right. Katulad nga na nasabi ko, usually yung mga mas visible lang ang nakikita. Di ba? Yung mga nababasa mo tungkol sa mga, nasa dyaryo na sila, nasa TV na sila, kasi sila yung naiimbita, sila yung madaling makausap. Usually, Metro Manila nga or Metro Cities. Pero yung mga sa probinsya talaga, yung barangay, na ito yung mga tipong may isang simpleng tao na tinutulungan lang niya na makapag-aral ang mga kabataan doon. May nagbibigay ng scholarship, alam natin yon. Pero paano naman yung mga baon? May mga taong tumutulong para lang magbigay ng baon. We all know a lot of Filipino heroes that have helped women communities. For example, ako kasi interest ko women communities. So, yung mga weaving and all these things na tumutulong sila para maging sustainable yung business. So, meron yan eh. Hindi lang natin nakikita kasi andun sila sa far-flung area. So, hopefully, magawa natin yung mahanap sila. Maganda naman ang mabigyan sila ng recognition para ma-duplicate. And that's the point, na ma-duplicate yung ginagawa nila kasi kung kaya nilang gawin, magagawa din namin at meron palang nakakapansin at nagbibigay recognition.
May binabanggit po rito yung volunteerism, impact at saka track record. Ano po?
Yes. So ang hinihanap lang talaga namin ay yung, alam mo yung iba yung volunteerism na ginawa mo dahil pamilya mo, hindi yon. Kasi nga dapat lang tulungan mo pamilya mo, no? Ito yung hindi mo kaano-ano tinulungan mo, no? So volunteer ka talaga. Volunteerism, nakakagawa ka ng mabuti na walang kabig sa'yo. Walang bayad sa'yo, no? So ginagawa mo dahil importante sa'yo, dahil gusto mo. Ang track record, hindi yung ginawa mo lang yesterday, pwede ka na mag-hero. Medyo matagal na proseso, no? Meron kang nagawa na dati at consistent ka kasi pwede namang pasundot-sundot lang, hindi yun ang hinahanap natin. And finally, yung isa, impact. Ano yung pwede kang tumulong ng maliit? Meron kang gumawa ng maliit lang, pero ang impact sa komunidad o sa mga taong tinutulungan mo ay malaki. No? So may mga board of judges who will decide on these things.
Ito po ay nationwide. Paano po kaya natin na mapapatupad? Paano
Yes.
po natin sila hanapin? At paano po may papaabot sa inyo? Ito nga mga natatanging bayani sa komunidad.
Okay. That's why we're here today actually. So there's a press conference so we can provide this information so it can be disseminated sa lahat ng media, no? One is we have partner universities who will disseminate this in communities. That's a very strong group. Kasi schools, alam na natin yan. Nasa lahat yan eh. There will be volunteer organizations, also part of the BCY Foundation, who will be really on the search. No? So talagang may lalabas doon at maghahanap at magbavalidate. So based on the school scope alone, no? And then I know that there will be partnering with certain LGUs, I think. No? So meron mga ganyan. So local government, academe, and members and volunteers of the BCY Foundation and NGOs will be given information about this to help us with the search.
Yung paghahanap po natin sa mga heroes na to sa komunidad, gaano po kaya katagal? Taon po ba abutin?
Alam ko dapat a few months eh. So may target naman to, no? I-announce today. I'm just not sure. I'm sorry, but this will hindi taon. Hindi taon. Dapat this year meron na kaming ilalabas at i-recognize.
At pag nagkataon, ito ay kauna-unahan.
Yes, and I think, and knowing the BCY Foundation and all the partners of this organization, this will be a very exciting search, and it will be continuing for the rest of the many years to come.
Hindi naman po, syempre, pag sinabing volunteerism, automatic, kaya hindi nila inaasahan na may kapalit, automatic
Yes,
na may sahod.
and that's-
Pero ito, yung, kumbaga, meron isang foundation na tututok sa kanila, kumbaga, parang i-acknowledge nila,
Yes.
i-credit sa kanilang ginawa. Ano kayo posible kaya, ma'am, na makuha nila sa
Yes.
kabutihan nilang ginawa?
Okay, besides the recognition, 'di ba? And sometimes nga yun lang naman ang kailangan ng mga tao mapansin, may nakakapansin pala ng gumagawa ko. There will be cash award.
Meron din.
Yes.
Ayan.
Okay. I'm not at liberty to say it right now, but maybe the organization will say it.
Okay, ma'am, maraming salamat. Ma'am, ano po ulit yung pangalan natin?
Chiki Escarialgo.
Ayan, Chico.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I request everyone to please rise for the singing of the national anthem, to be followed by the invocation led by Archbishop Pachacho.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of Lent, a season of grace, mercy, love, and compassion. We ask you to pour down your blessings upon our forum this morning, sponsored by the Catalino and Benita Foundation. In view of selecting our town heroes whose lives are characterized by competence, by integrity, and love for the poor, and especially the common good. We also pray that these leaders will embody the three characteristics of leaders: their social impact upon society, their track record, and what's it, the third one? And volunteerism. Lord, you teach us to recognize that the greatness and the meaning of life does not consist of power, wealth, popularity, or position, but rather in our capacity to be selfless, to be generous, and to remain faithful to you. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Alright, again, we welcome everyone to the media launch of the BCYF's Search for Hometown Heroes. So this nationwide Search for Hometown Heroes is launched by the Benita and Catalina Yap Foundation as its flagship citizenship project. All Filipinos want their country to succeed. A lot of people toil and persevere to secure their and their families' future. Some go and do more, helping a sick person, being around to listen and advise, face bullies, or otherwise be present for their neighbors. Mr. Antonio Yap, the founder of BCYF, said that citizenship is about following the golden rule and the laws of the nation and trying to be an everyday hero, trying to do more than what is expected. The search recognizes your neighbor in your purok, barangay, town, or city that everyone knows has a positive impact on their neighborhood. He announced that the Search Awards night will be held in the second week of November of every year. At the local level, the Search for Hometown Heroes will tap the local school and community leaders down to the barangay to identify and evaluate those who have consistently been of help to his or her place. Examples of consistent volunteerism, social impact, and positive Filipino values. The project was developed by BCYF together with Pandayan Bookshop, RMN, MCL, Business Mirror, DEP at PTMG. It is supported by Amos Maap, University of Luzon, UPMG, and other groups. For this award, a cash prize, commendation, and other recognition awaits the national and local winners. So this is the official logo of the Search for Hometown Heroes. It is designed by, with the help of Pandayan store. And the logo, as you can see, symbolizes a lot of things. The circle or the round, the round object in the logo symbolizes our country, ang bansang Pilipinas, and of course the three main islands, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And it also symbolizes the three main focal points of the Search for Hometown Heroes, which is volunteerism, innovation, and sustainability. Okay, and then there are two holding H. Of course, it stands for Hometown HH. And then, of course, you have the rays of the sun, like the rays of the sun, and this symbolizes hope and the hope for our nation and for our people as well. And then the lines and below the hometown, the word hometown, and above the word hero symbolizes equality and equality for all, whether we come from different sectors of the society, men or women. Of course, we are all equal. Alright, and then for the award description, the award, the Search for Hometown Heroes is about being an everyday hero. So, the search aims to find people working at the grassroots level, people who are in the communities, doing their day-to-day lives and exemplifying volunteerism the best way that they can, doing what they do best in their everyday lives. So these are the people who exemplifies the ability to go beyond what is expected of them. In service, of course, of their neighbors, of their fellow Filipinos. And also, the Search for Hometown Heroes will tap, of course, as mentioned earlier, it will tap local schools and at the community level. So, the organizing community has a team that is assigned to working with schools from different regions in order for us to identify people who would be nominated or be qualified for the award. And then the qualifications, an individual, so in order for a person to be able to join the search, an individual who has over 5 to 10 years doing things beyond what is normally expected, in terms of his or her business, in terms of his or her profession, or in terms of his or her service that is being rendered at the community level. And of course, this provides impact. It should have a meaningful impact to the lives of the people within the community or at the grassroots level. And then the award criteria would be focusing on volunteerism, of course, the type of work that he or she does for the community, and the impact, how this act acts of volunteerism contributes to the growth and development of the community. And of course, the track record. No criminal records, good community standing. So those would be the criteria for the award. Now, there would be several stages for the award. There would be a municipal search. So this would include tapping into the local schools, partnering with organizations and schools at the local level, the municipal level. And then we will have a review panel at the provincial level, which would lead to the national nominees. Okay? And then after we have selected the national nominees, there would be a national judging. A panel there would be a panel who would select the grand award. Okay? The grand awardee for the hometown hero, the hometown hero of 2017. And so this endeavor of the BCYF would not be possible without the help of its proponents. And we would like to thank Pandayan Bookshop, Business Mirror, RMN, KPMG, the St. Anthony's School System, and then MCL. And then, of course, our other organizers, University of Luzon, Women's Business Council, IRENIT, and we are supported by the Department of Tourism and DepEd in this endeavor. And of course, our other partners, and of course, all the members of the BCYF network. Alright, so to tell us more about this award and tell us his vision of what this award is really about, let us all welcome the founder and chairman of the BCYF, Sir Tony Esian.
Thank you, Chair. Let's give a hand to Sir Artus from Malayan Sali. You know, when I was young, one of my most enjoyable moments was when my father would tell me stories about people I should emulate and consider as heroes. He would tell me, "Do you know Dr. Dizon?" I said, "The one there with a small pharmacy on the side of the market." Yes. He said, "This person, anybody can go to, even if they have no money. He will take care of them." He's been offered many things, but he stays in our small town. And he's been doing this for the last 40 years that I've known him. And that is why I chose him to be your Nino. My other Ninangs were Pasita Warnes, Madrigal, etc. But most of them were people like Dr. Dizon. He would tell me all these stories of this retired military guy who would talk to all the naughty kids, ask them to eat in his house and tell them, you know, there are other ways of focusing your naughtiness. And since almost all my barkadas were the naughty ones, kasama na rin ako nakikinig sa kanya. I have never forgotten those stories. And today, I am happy to participate in launching this award. I know I have told my colleagues in the foundation for the last 24 years that everywhere you go in our country, there are people who, if you want to be biblical, we can say are toiling in the vineyard quietly, somehow making a difference. Actually, Chef, some of them may be ex-criminals. I know a few of them. I know people from Monte who have changed their lives, who have become my brothers in a prayer group. There are people who help those interested in gardening. Everywhere in this country, there are people trying to make a difference within that small community. Maybe they don't even think about the whole country. But that is precisely what makes a nation. Because we are only as strong as our weakest link. And my theory has always been that we are stronger than we think when we go to the average puro, average barangay, and municipality or city. There's always a bunch of guys who have made it their life's work, if you like. Many by accident, not by purpose. But they end up being constantly visited, sought for advice, and somehow they have. And for lack of a better word, we can call them Filipino hometown heroes. So I mentioned to my friends who are here, maybe it is time to organize an award for them. Now we are looking here at visiting all 1,622 cities and municipalities in this country every 4 to 5 year cycle. For this first award, we will create at least 300 local search committees with at least 2,000 members. In a previous project that we did in our foundation, we had a volunteer group of 22,000 to do a project. That project was the Gawad sa Manlilikan ng Bayan. And it took me 4.5 years to finish that, to get the bill written, have it approved in Congress. And we never asked money from anyone. We did it together with my Rotary Club, one singular Rotary Club. So I know that the challenge of helping our society become better rests not only on us who are well-meaning, but also on our ability to find those exemplars. Those people that, at least for me, make me feel that I'm not doing enough. They don't have the kind of resources we can talk about easily, and yet somehow their puro, their barangay is so much better. Behind my school used to be one of the biggest drug areas in our city. That got organized because of some loko-lokong gang members who said they had had enough. By the time I met them, more than 50% had been cleaned up. Now it's about 90% cleaned up. Before you wouldn't walk there. Now I've been there and I don't see the same thing. These gang members with all their tattoos, you would not think would be good examples, but they are. So our search today, the search today we are launching, is precisely to encourage these individuals to continue. That they are not forgotten, that they have people like us who recognize that their name should be known far and wide. There are of course people who want to be anonymous and we will respect that. But for those willing to be examples, schools like University of Luzon and I and Malayan, we would like to bring their stories to the classroom. We would like people to know that there are many paths to being successful. Most of them have nothing to do with money. Most of them have something to do with being an everyday hero. So welcome friends, and I look forward to working with you in ensuring that the next generation of Filipinos have all these fine examples of people who have made and continue to make a difference. Good morning.
Alright, thank you, Sir Tony. Okay, I stand corrected. Ex-criminals would be considered. Maybe no active criminal record. That's what they're saying. Okay. Alright, but that's really true. People that I work for the community development arm of Malayan College of Laguna, and we meet a lot of people at the local level that are really doing a lot of difference. They're not really, it's just a part of their life. And honoring their lives is what Sir Tony has mentioned, is something that we can do just so we can teach the younger generation, and so that we can teach the students that they have a lot to look up to, and a lot of things that they can look forward to, a lot of things that they can hope for this country. And so these people would serve as an inspiration. So thank you, Sir Tony, for making this vision come into reality, and for allowing us to be a part of this vision. Wonderful, wonderful vision. Alright, now at this point, Sir Tony has mentioned that we are supposed to do the search nationwide. So it would take hundreds of search committees for the search to be thorough. But one thing that we can utilize at this point would be social media. So social media is everywhere, and we can, it's actually free, and we can use it to our advantage. And so here to talk about how the social media presence of the hometown heroes is Sir Rafi Gregorio from Malayan College of Laguna. That's all. Welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, the 21st century, which started January 2001, and will end on December 2100. So we still have a long way to go, but given we are just only at 2017, we have witnessed the advancement of technology. So we saw that there was a massive use of social media and the internet to promote different advocacies. But I think using the social media would come with the responsibility to use it correctly. So regardless of if it's paid from iTunes, Apple Store, or paid from the Google Play Store, even if it's free, we still have to be very responsible in using these social media channels. So allow me to present some guidelines that we will be using in utilizing the social media channels for the promotion and the search for our hometown heroes. The first one is, I think we have to like and share something meaningful to inspire communities. I think it's very an opportunity for us to change the face of the social media. That we are in the era of there's a freedom of expression in the social media, that not everyone posts or shares links that are truth or that are inspiring to others. So the social media channel I'm referring to is Facebook. So we have our link. It's facebook.com/bcyfheroes. So here you can post pictures of the stories of the hometown hero that we would be encountering throughout the search, throughout this year. Next is, let's turn a tweet of a bird into a lion's roar. So some of our citizens, or some from our youth, they are not yet discovered, or their advocacies are still hiding in the dark. So I think it's a good opportunity to use Twitter to discover their advocacies and their principles. So we have the twitter.com/bcyfheroes. And speaking about Twitter, we all know, I think, that we use the hashtags. So we'll be using the hashtag BCYFHero2017. So every time you tweet, so kindly include on the post the hashtag so that we may know that there are stories being submitted to our official Twitter page. Next is, we take advantage of the filters while telling a great story. So the cameras today are very advanced, that they offer different kinds of filters that the youth enjoys. So it's a venue for them to be creative through the use of Instagram. So through Instagram, we find the official page by searching the username BCYFHeroes. So far, these are the only pictures uploaded in our Instagram account. We are looking forward that there will be more pictures added to the stories on Instagram. Next is, let's not invite not just subscribers, but also passionate volunteers. So I'm talking about YouTube. So we have a temporary link. This is only temporary, the bit.do/bcyfheroes. I researched their policies. I think we need to reach first the 100 subscribers in order for us to have a customized channel, like youtube.com/bcyfheroes. So that will be our one of our assignments to subscribe on our YouTube channel. So YouTube channel, as you all know, it focuses on videos. Instagram focuses on photos. Twitter focuses on interest, and also common people with common interest. And Facebook focuses on advertising. So if some of you are using all these social media accounts, you will be offered different preferences. If you would like to see lesser ads, you may consider using Instagram. But if the advertisements are okay with you, you may use Facebook and Twitter. So this would be our 4 media channels. So we have for Facebook, Twitter, and and Instagram and YouTube. So I would always keep in mind what Sir Tony has instructed me, that we have to keep the social media accounts educational. So we will be posting a lot with regards to the search for the compounder. So that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Rafi. So the idea really is to utilize all social media channels that are available. So this would allow us to promote and advertise Hometown Heroes in a very accessible manner. And then it would also allow us to gather stories of our heroes as they do their day-to-day lives. And of course, the search committees, communication between and among the search committees would be easy if we all use the social media channels, as we are in different parts of the country. So really, the power of technology and the power of social media will help us propel the search in a very precise, very efficient and effective manner. So that would be all for the social media and for the award itself. Now, at this point, we will be having our open forum. So if you have any questions, we will now answer your questions or inquiries regarding the search.
Medyo kombinasyon ito ng question at comments. I was reminded when Tony was telling the story of Dr. Dizon about my own father-in-law, who was also the lone general practitioner in our town, in Bulacan, for many, many years. And what the interesting story is, people go there with or without money, and sometimes they carry chicken, they carry bananas. But what was interesting was when the Bulacan Medical Society called his attention about his charges. He was still at 20 pesos per patient when the Bulacan Medical Society was already at 50 pesos. So they were trying to call his attention that he is sort of violating the norms of the society. Anyway, the question would be on the topic of volunteerism, because sometimes we had a very, shall we say, narrow interpretation of volunteerism. For example, as I was reflecting on who can be our town heroes in our place, the following persons came to my mind. Our former teacher, still living, who has been the town historian. I mean, nobody is paying him to write all those history and books, but somehow he manages to do it, okay, on his own. Okay, of course there are people who support him for printing and others, but basically I don't know whether that can be considered volunteerism. Secondly, how do we classify the work of religious people, the congregations, who really do a lot of service to the community? In our own community in Tandangsora, there is a congregation there whose charism is for special children. So, doon dinadala ng bantay bata, yung mga napupulot nilang mga special children na hindi walang pangalan, hindi walang birthday, So sila pa yung magpapabinyag, magbibigay ng pangalan at mag-aalaga. Of course, it's the whole congregation doing the work. But to me, this is really a very, very remarkable form of volunteerism. The third is how we define hometown. Because in UP Diliman, I consider that a hometown. And there are many hometown heroes. Okay, so I could maybe I can mention names. Retired Professor Lydia Belia, who continuously provides calisthenics or dance lessons to people, even if she's already maybe past close to 90 already, and she's still very active. And of course, those people from the College of Music who have organized these groups, the singing ambassadors, for example, wala namang extra bayad yung mga teacher na yun in training those people and carrying out those activities. So ito lang ho, and I was reminded also, although it may not be called volunteerism, but it is something that helps the community. I had one advisee at the Development Academy of the Philippines when I was on retirement home, and he is a fireman. Bumbero siya, who is assigned in Las Piñas. Of course, his project was how to address the problem in Las Piñas of very narrow streets, no? Eh pag nagkasunog, di naman makapasok yung mga truck ng bumbero. So ang naisipan niya, immobilize ang TODA, Tricycle Operators and Drivers Association. So he got a pool of 30 TODA, actually tatlong TODA yun, tigta 10 volunteers. Tinrain niya, binigyan niya ng jacket, binigyan ng fire extinguishers, and they are considered fire volunteers kasi sila yung nakakaalam ng pasikot-sikot, sila yung nakakaalam ng mga lugar at makakapasok sila dun sa mga makikipot na lugar. Hindi ko alam kung sino sa kanila dun ng hometown hero, kung yung bumbero na nakaisip nun o yung mga TODA. But basically, natutuwa ako dito sa award na to dahil it gives a chance to recognize these people. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Alright, sir, thank you for your questions. I think for the third question, your question regarding hometown and UP being your hometown, unless otherwise the address is UP Diliman, I think, because you qualified that it should be from a Purok, barangay, town, or city. Yes, barangay level. Yeah.
Is the nomination open for posthumous awards?
That's a good question. We never thought of that. Yeah, some kind of recognition siguro, but then maybe, kasi we want the continuity. But there must be a way to recognize
Special.
Mayroon ka doon eh. I know a few. Yeah. I never thought of that, but you're right. Namatay na.
So that's something to consider again, posthumous awards or recognition. And then of course the question about volunteerism, how do we define, and of course in relation to that, how do we, for instance, how do we classify the work of the religious people or working for the church or religious communities would also be classified as volunteer work. From our definition, of course, we encourage, the search would look into all the different works at the barangay level and barangay area. And of course, it would always be good to look at that. But mainly, our definition of volunteerism is going over and above what is necessary. So what is expected of them, say for instance, they're expected to deliver this, a social worker is expected to deliver this particular service, or this particular work, but he or she goes beyond what is necessary. So the 8 working hours turns to 16 working hours. And so, over and beyond what is necessary, going out of their way to help others. And of course, all those stories from, like the teacher, the town historian, that's such a wonderful work because he's not paid to do that, and he's contributing to posterity. So, and for educating the town, and of course contributes to, it has a national impact level even. So that would be wonderful stories. The good thing about the Search for Hometown Heroes is we would be able to gather lots and lots and lots of stories at the grassroots levels. And these stories would inspire us, and these stories would allow us to look into what's happening at the barangay level. Simple stories like that town historian, a teacher, a retired teacher, a fireman, these are all stories that would inspire us. And of course, they're all, they are qualified to be heroes in their own rights. And of course, there would be a municipal search, and then there would be a provincial review panel before they would move on to the national level judging. So there would be levels and timers to that. But I'm sure all of these stories, we would be putting them up on, so once we receive nominations from the search committees, we would be putting them up online so that a lot of people can have access and read their stories. And of course, the ultimate goal is to inspire all of us in everything that we do. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm George Ingles from CNN Philippines. So basically, I just want to ask for clarification regarding the nomination process, because we could help disseminate to the people on the process itself, because you have your municipal, provincial, and national level. So, for instance, I live in a barangay, so to whom should I nominate the person who I think is qualified for the award? And next thing is that will there be deadlines for that award? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that practical question. The awards night is November 24th. So definitely by the first week of October, we will have no more nominations. There are 4 ways to be nominated. The first is you can email us or send us a message, then we'll contact you to get the details of the nomination. You can self-nominate. You can, there will be a nomination form online in our website, bcyfoundation.org, that people can fill up online. And then lastly, you can just call or text us. Within the next 2 weeks, we will come up with which numbers can be conducted. And so the process starts when somebody contacts us, even if they don't submit anything yet. Because there is no standard format for the supporting documentation. Now, the actual evaluation, however, although we will accept everything, will be at the local level. So we are now asking people to tell us which puroks, barangays, cities, and towns do they want to handle. Example, one of our partners is AMOSU, the association of all the people on board vessels. These are the seamen. They're huge. We're talking about more than 10 million people. So we have asked them, which puroks, which barangays, which towns in the Philippines can you handle? We're doing the same thing for the 300 or 400 private schools that are active in our association. We're asking the financial institutions, okay, and so on and so forth. Once we've collected them, we will decide which will be the first 300 to 400 for the search this year. For each of those locations, we will create a committee. Now, what happens if there is no committee in your area? That's when you submit it national, we will take care of it. But for those where there are committees, we suggest that you go to them, but if you don't, we will be the one to refer. Thirdly, we also expect to put some kind of tambiolo or something all over the country. As of now, we have about 20,000 locations where we will place posters. I don't know how many tambiolos we will come up with. My original idea was 10,000 of them nationwide. And the tambiolos will be checked regularly. So, mga simbahan, mga, hindi naman grocery, pero simbahan, barangay hall, eskwelahan, yung institution. So, those na nahihiya, maglagay na lang kayo doon. Sabihin lang nila if they don't want to be identified. Kasi kung hindi, sasabihin namin thank you, etc. Pero we have to interview you. Okay. So, I think we will be able to capture almost everybody, either nationally, online, grabbing something, or nominated by this search. Remember, this is a search. So the committee can also make its own recommendations. They will say, kinausap namin yung Paris Priest, kinausap namin yung head ng Federation of Born Again Christians, kinausap namin yung head ng Iglesia, whatever it is, and they will say, mayroong namin dyan sa barangay na yan, ganito. Yan lang ang nagsisave ng lahat ng mga recipes ng pagkain sa lugar nila. That's important for our culture, our history, to do this kind of historical record keeping. As a former history teacher, I know this is important because I taught history in college. And I know that every place I go, the problem was people don't like to record. People don't like to write. Our parents did not want to be interviewed because the war was so painful for them, they said. But look at what's happening now. The original sources are limited. What we're doing is creating this body of knowledge also on how wonderful it is to be a Filipino. So, yun ang process at the local level. The provincial is not a search. It is a review. Looking at saka by the way, once the local committee decides on an awardee, we will not question. They're authorized to award on the spot. If after 1 week they think they have an awardee, they can award. Why? Because this is an every year activity. It's not a one-time deal. So next year they can nominate again anyway. So if somebody is so, hindi naman glaring, but so obviously a person that they want to recognize, they will just have to ask us for a certificate, whatever, they'll be awarded, then we feature natin in radio station, newspaper around them. That's the basic thing. We don't want it to be about money at that level. Because we may not get the right candidates if we talk too much about money at the local level. Although I can tell you separately, meron kami yung programa for that, but that will be after we know who are the awardees. So, the awardees will be recognized, commended, they'll get a certificate, they'll be featured, and that's it. And that can happen within 1 week. After we induct all the members of the search committees, they can do that. That's why publicity on radio, newspaper is so important because you don't know, baka 2 weeks bago makakuha ng dyaryo yung lugar na yun, or they're only listening to radyo ng bayan or whatever, or diba? So it's important that all the media help us disseminate. That's why we need the government agencies. Because the government agencies theoretically are everywhere. Yesterday I was discussing with the ILG. Kasi I think it's important for them to also help us in the information dissemination. Okay. So the provincial, there is now a review of every awardee. If they have not been awarded, they cannot be considered. Dapat na-award sila. And then dadagdag doon yung mga nasa national na binigay na walang committee. And working with them, there will be one or more national finalists coming from that province. We're saying at least one. We're not saying there's a limit. Pag-usapan natin. Pero dapat talaga, whoever's chosen will select a better candidate. And then after that, at the national judging panel is composed of the organizing committee. And from looking at the people around, you know, we have a good bunch of guys who just love this country. And they will select an awardee. And then, yeah, we will announce the prize at the time of the awarding. Kasi nga, we have an idea what it is. It's just that we don't want it. We don't want this to be about money. We want so the real output on November 24 is the first volume of our Hometown Heroes book, which we intend to offer for free on an online bookstore in our website. Diba? And those who want to use it to teach, we will run a companion founding training program. Because anyway, that's what we know how to do. Yes.
Pwede bang yung nominee team o kaya group? At saka, paano yung patay hindi na pwede i-nominate?
Same question ni Barbie. Actually, as of now, we don't know. But I think Chiki's suggestion on a special commendation to the many who have passed but made a good contribution is a good one. So we can consider that special citation. For those naman who are groups, for now they're not going to be considered. This is an individual award. Magulo ng konti pag grupo. Because even in a group, may palaging leader yan. Let's recognize the leaders. Ang maganda, because we're willing to award people who were active even in a puro. That could be a 15-year-old kid somewhere doing something wonderful. Hindi lang yung episodal, meaning you found a bag, you returned it. That's wonderful, but it cannot be awarded. It must be something you've been doing for a while. We can be flexible, but we're looking around 5 years. But we can be flexible. Most people I know have been doing this for 20, 30 years or more. Actually, the ones in my area. Although I will not nominate because I think that's... Sayang, I'm sorry for the people who know me. Because I've met some really wonderful examples. May kilala ko na nagbabangka, fisherman. If I tell you this story, mapapahiya ka. Yung last centavo, ginagamit niya 12 people. May tao gano'n. Hand to mouth dahil sa kanya ginagawang pakikibaka. That's the word he was using. I had to ask what that meant. Kala ko karne. Hindi, wala. It's more than that. But there are people really like that. And so, I hope I answered your question.
Regarding kasi parang it seems like to me that, you know, aside from giving awards to these people, it's like spreading good vibes to the public who are using social media. So, bigyan niyo lang kami sana sir ng konting idea lang on how did you come up with that idea na, you know, might as well share the information, so hindi lang through a book, but also in social media, well, very accessible to everyone now.
Actually, my dream is that all the radio stations, all the newspapers will find it in their heart to have a regular feature. Whatever you call it, however one you package it, the materials will be available. Diba? And ang maganda rito, there will always be a new person to feature. And these are not, I mean, we feature people who return 10,000 pesos or dollars at the airport. But these are people who have spent lifetimes changing their neighborhood. I mean, there can be no greater sacrifice than loving and taking care of your neighbor. And that's what this is all about. Love your neighbor not by talking, but by doing. Yung mga madada, marami yan. Huwag na tayo sumasabi. We know who are the talkative people. Di ba? Marami yan. Dito tayo sa mga talk if necessary, pero do as much as possible. Thank you, sir.
And so in addition to your question about social media being a big part of this, we know that on social media we see a lot of stories and we encounter a lot of stories on Facebook, on Twitter. Sometimes we all need a reminder that our country is full of individuals and people who are not really that famous, who are not after fame, who are not after the money, they're not after social media followers, they're just living day-to-day lives and they're making a difference. So it's a good reminder for us. Alright, so any more questions? Okay, if you don't have any more questions, we will be having a signing ceremony for everybody who is present. So we will, everybody is here today will be signing. All the organizers will be signing the document, signifying their commitment to pursuing the search for hometown records.
would like to invite everyone to nominate their neighborhood exemplar, neighborhood hero, neighborhood friend who somehow makes their lives better, makes their life that much more interesting. They can nominate through the bcyfoundation.org site or through the various social media sites that I think can be shown after this. Thank you.
Sir, what's good about this is that are rooted, no? Grounded yung mga taong gusto nating mabigyan ng award.
Tsaka, pag hindi nag-agree yung the people around, then we will know that they're not the right award. So we know that the selection is a natural thing. In your neighborhood, you know if there's somebody making a difference. The one who always volunteers to help, the one who is always there when somebody is in trouble. But there are always people like that. And they are the true unsung heroes. But the true ones that we need to emulate.
Sir, yung community participation for this award is vital.
Yes. This award will not be possible without the local search committees involving the local leaders, not just political, but those in the religious, those in church in effect, those who are community leaders, not because they have positions, but because they are recognized as being people who help and people who are involved with social groups, civil society organizations. Yes, definitely this is all about the community coming together. And we think that everyone will want to participate in pushing their own hero. Because they want to show people, this community, our hero is for the whole Philippines.
Sir Tony, speaking of which, parang itong malaking plano na ito, this will be an annual event na.
Yes.
And this 2017 will be the start.
The first one.
Sir, yung idea, saan ang galing?
Okay, these took 3 steps. The first one, like I said, was I really remember the stories about what my folks got me interested to be a bit more serious, to take my studies in the kind of thing that will hopefully, according to my father, emulate these good people. The second one was about 40 years ago I started volunteering. So this is my 41st year as a volunteer. And I met so many wonderful people that need not so much recognition only, but also our cooperation and our help. But when we put up the foundation, we started talking about this seriously about 8 years ago. And it was part of what we call as our Dalubhasang Tanglao recognition program. 5 separate awards. We have, the first one we came up with was the Developmental Social Enterprise Award, which recognizes small businessmen who are making an impact in the province. Our first winner was EcoWeb from Iligan City. Our second winner was Ant Hill from Cebu, who APEC Retail recognizes probably the best small business in Asia during the last APEC meeting in the Philippines. And my partner there is PricewaterhouseCoopers. Then we came up with the CSR Youth Award. Our partner is Deloitte Philippines. And we showed them that a poor student studying at Cavite State can make a difference in the lives of his fellow students, even if he has to end up walking to school because he has shared his measly allowance and his father is an ordinary worker. And I was inspired to continue with this when I met people like him. The awardee we have, for example, this year, Mark Ravanzo, was there in Holo when they attacked him. And his father, who is a soldier, has been missing all this time. And instead of being angry, he said, why don't I work with the other kids who have problems? But that is in the realm of CSR, of being a good citizen. Then the third award we came up with was the Innovation Awards. This was last February. And we showed that there are innovators in this country who will make our lives better. But when you bring them all together, you're looking at hometown heroes, local heroes. And that's why it took that long. We wanted to show that although we can recognize social entrepreneurs, social businessmen, CSR practitioners, and innovators, it is when we go to the community level that what makes us unique as Filipinos comes to the fore. We Filipinos are a good race. We have a lot of good people. They don't have to be college graduates. They don't have to be politicians. but we care for each other. This whole Bayanihan spirit comes from that innate interest in being good to your neighbor, even those na kaaway mo, even those that you don't normally like. But when the going gets rough, pare-pareho pa rin tayong sa community ng Pilipinos.
Sir, you were talking about, communicating or talking with the DILG earlier.
Yes.
May commitments naman sila?
Well, wala pa ako. Nabagal ako eh. We are consolidating our partnerships with various private groups.
Okay.
We think the government will be supportive.
Okay.
But we do not want the awards to be based on...
Yes, politics.
Yeah, we know that this transcends politics.
Yes.
That whoever you are, whatever is your political interest, you want to find those good examples. You want your kids, your grandkids in Suertica, your kids Tuhod,
Yes.
to look up and say, I want to be like that person. In addition to basketball players, movie stars, maybe there are other examples for them. Maybe yung bumbero or yung teacher. And that will be so good.
Exactly.
If that is the way that our next generation will grow up. Even those who are now millennials, I think they're looking for good examples.
Exactly.
Not just what they see on TV or that they see on Facebook.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.